We can go ahead and kick it into gear. Welcome everyone to the Autostratic Radar Monthly Setups brought to you by Teach.Trade, hosted by yours truly, Jamal Stan and Super Lee. And I was just gonna go through and kind of get an idea so we can get an idea of what's going on in the month. As far as setups brought to you by Autostratic. We already got a kind of temperature test of how everybody was doing, so let's just go ahead and jump right into it. So what I was able to do was I kind of just ran some scans already based off of the autostatic radar. And so what we have here is we have the default crew. So this is the default set of tickers that it scans for. And hmm and as you can see, we have some actionable setups on the indexes with specifically SPY and QQQ. So SPY is basically a barometer of the whole market, and QQQ is a barometer mostly of the tech sector. So you can say that the market is gearing up for something as well as tech seems to be gearing up for something. And then I also listed a few of the heavy hitters from this list. Now, as you can see, the list is comprised of, plenty of stocks, but these are just the ones that I kind of viewed as my heavy hitters. And so you have Apple, you have Microsoft, you have Tesla, you have JP Morgan, and Nvidia. So right off the bat, I wanted to maybe go and we can probably look at maybe two or three of each one of the potential setups that one of that the radar is telling us and try to look at it kind of on the month, the top perspective from the month going down to see if we can find, the best bang for our buck. So first and foremost, we can take a look at Apple. So this is telling us that Apple has a setup on the month. So if we go to the Apple chart, let me pull my trading view up here and let's see if we can get Apple on the Mapple. So give me 1 second while I resize and enhance this so that everybody can see it properly. And then let's go ahead and type in Apple. So what I have is I have two charts, one for the week and one for the month. So we can see what's going on the week on the left side, and we can see what's going on the month on the right. And so let's go ahead and type in Apple. And so as we can see on the month, Apple has this fail to down, I guess you can say hammerish candle right here on the month. And it has been in a significant uptrend for several months, as you can see, currently above the previous month open, above the 6 month open, and above the quarter as well as the year open. So just be mindful of that. It is also above the weekly open as well. But what I do like is that this is a fail to down. So what it's basically telling me, this candle here, is that the buyers came in this month. So at a certain point in time, Apple was all the way down here towards 195.60-ish at a low. And then the buyer stepped in and bounced that thing all the way back to the 226s, 226s. So that's a significant amount of buying to bring Apple from that low all the way to the high that it is now at 229. So what I'm expecting or what I'm hoping is that the buying continues into next month. So that is what the probability that we are going to try to play off of that is that the buying continues as it has this month into next month. And so the trigger would definitely be breaking the high of this current month, or well, I guess you could say previous month of August. Um, Let's see if we can mark that out. And then that would be our bias to the upside is Apple breaking this high of 232.92. So you could maybe even say 233 even on Apple. So we wanted to break that high. We wanted to confirm multiple times on the smaller time frame above that high. Um, and then we want to get out contracts, maybe a month out on Apple with that monthly trigger set up. And just to bring things home, maybe we can see if Apple has a setup on the day. Could potentially go two down, two up on the day for Apple. Oh my. Because it previously had a shooter and it went two down from that shooter, filled this gap, as you can see. It filled this gap right here. And then proceeded to, reverse slightly back up. So it filled that gap. That's the wick right there. That's the wick of this red candle, filling the gap and then proceeding to kind of bounce back up. So you could really actually call this maybe a fail to down because Apple, if we zoom in and then enhance, if this is the low of the shooter candle, Apple actually closes back in that range, failing to close below the previous candle. So it would be considered a fail to down where the buyers did step in, creating that wick, but we still have a red down candle. So we want to still maybe and take a daily entry on the trigger above 230, 230.40 for Apple on the day. So if Apple continues to be bullish, those will be the triggers. I am to the bullish side on that because the buyers have come in on the higher time frame of the month. So I'm hoping that that will continue into the next month. So that was Apple. What else did we have on there? We had Apple, we have Microsoft, Tesla, JPM, and Nvidia. So I'll let the chat um choose which one of these that we go over next. Um, I have special words for the financial sector. So we'll go over the financial sector on the next go round. So JPM will definitely be covered, but JPM looks really good, really, really good. So I think the second most voted was Nvidia. And so let's just look at Nvidia. So Nvidia was having a nice little run and then they kind of got clapped and then they kind of recovered a little bit. So let's take a look, a gander at Nvidia and see what it's doing because QQQ does have a setup and QQQ is a lot of Nvidia. So let's take this back to the week and we still have the month over there on the right. So on the month we do have this uh I guess you could call this a fail to down on the month. What I like about this is that the buyers have come in on this wick, but what I don't like is that the price action kind of settles towards the middle of the candle. So it's more towards the 50% of the candle than I would like for it to be, but it is in the higher location of the 50%. So if you were to split this candle by 50%, that would still be, in the higher range. And we can do that. Um, I can do it really quickly if I can. So we're looking for maybe the 50% of the month on the current candle. And then I'm just going to hide everything else so it's not confusing. So I'm looking for the 50% of the month, which will be that blue solid line. It'll say 50%. And then I'm going to hide all of these other things just so we can get a gist of, the 50% retracement on the month as well. Because if price retraces back below that, that could be an early sign that the bears are coming in. And so that'll just say month too, just so we can see it. Um, so as you can see, the 50% retracement for the month is right there, and I would rather it be in the higher spectrum above that 3 week trigger on NVIDIA. So what NVIDIA did was it triggered on 3 week, but it didn't finish above that trigger. As you can see, the 3 week trigger is where I was really bullish on NVIDIA. It broke out, but it failed to close back above that 3 week trigger. But we could see that it does need to take back the openings of the week as well as the previous month. So those could be early stop signs or early detections that the bulls are steadily in motion on NVIDIA. But as you can see, NVIDIA did take a drastic turn this month, going towards a low in the 90s. I would keep eyes on this for it to jump through those hoops and get back above that 3 week trigger, get it back above those openings, and then for it to tackle this month trigger to the upside. If not, if it fails and goes back below this 50% retracement, then there might be more bearish action coming in. They might want to accumulate it some more at these lower prices before they continue to drive it higher. I mean, because NVIDIA is definitely going to go higher. As long as they're the king of AI, they're going to be supreme. But right around now, it looks like they're trying to play with it. They're not trying to pop it up, especially with the earnings not being super above expectations, and then they're kind of settling off a little bit. So the speculation about them becoming a get rich quick type of stock is coming down. So their earnings are coming back to reality, but they're still well above great. They're almost I mean they're really good is what I'm trying to say, but people were expecting even more, so that's why they're kind of getting a little bit hit. But Nvidia above those levels there, want to watch the 50% retracement on the month. You want to watch that 3 week trigger that I have on my chart, 125, and then you want to watch for it to trigger the month at 131.26. As you can see, this week, was not good for Nvidia. Two up, two down. Actually, that's a three. Two up, three down on Nvidia. So looking to see how it responds from that. Inside candle of the day, give you an early entry for calls or puts if it breaks strongly out of this range. That's Nvidia. I had Nvidia shares and I sold them before it dumped down to 90. I got scared. I'm still looking for a re-entry on my long-term calls that I also sold as well. So that was just an example of the major sectors. So we went through Apple as well as Nvidia. And so this is the whole list of what the AutoStratic found there. This will be available in the Discord as soon as this is over. You also want to be mindful of SPY and QQQ. Those do also have actionable signals because they're the barometer of the overall market. Are you talking to? Oh, okay. What's going on right now? Got you. The month, right? What was the top? Like this?
Drop down one more time on to the daily chart. This may actually have an entry tomorrow because as we teach in the academy, and as well as some of our strat sessions here in this community, it has an inside candle. If you zoom in one more time, well, it's real skinny up in here. That we have an inside candle, which is an actionable signal. And not to just get too ahead for those who are just still early in their trading career, is that we have right now a day such that it is giving the signal for us to take action, for us to take a trade, because it's showing consolidation and it is waiting for a breakout. So this trade could come as early as tomorrow. It could, but let's not guarantee that that's what's going to happen. Um, and so somewhere along there above 162 or 163, above 162 or 163 is what would be my entry for a really long term trade. Right now, I actually see volume, or excuse me, I see open interest in the 190 for January 2025. I also see open interest in uh, the 175 for January. Um, if you don't even, oh my goodness, okay, wait. I'm looking at the options chain. Uh, December, and I see Supreme Kai had dropped something here about December. But if you look at the open interest, if anyone has a broker open for December 24th, excuse me, December 20th for 2024, there are contracts for 175 and 195, and those open interests are in the thousands, which means that this is not just unique. It's not just because we just found it. That people have been buying, maybe along this way that's been moving here in August, but they have been buying and that they have been holding, right? So this could be a really solid 3 month trade, or it could go all the way into next year if you wanted to. Um, where I see June calls for next year. Obviously, it gets more expensive the longer or further out you go, but that's just the bone for what I think is a really solid banger of a trade. Okay, and it's high probability as well.
That
There's
was
comment.
great. Um, unfortunately, I was not recording you just now,
Oh
and
well.
I'm so sorry. I got this new setup at the hotel, and that's what while you were talking, I was trying to get the inputs and stuff set up, and so it came in like halfway through, and then it was too loud, and
No, it's
so
all good.
um, is it possible you could at least have that section, do an analysis and dump that into the Discord just so they can have that because when
Yeah.
they look back on the video, it's just gonna be like extreme silence during the charting of Tick Two. I
Yeah, that's no
apologize,
problem.
but yeah, I didn't have the audio from the Discord transmitting to the OBS.
Yeah, no, that's no problem, brother. Um, I did drop at least the chart in the chat, and what we'll say here, because I know people just want to know what that trade is. December 20th, 175 call or 195 call, and then there were June 2025 calls, maybe somewhere around 180 or 200. So we're at least gonna save the this thing here. Um, Another ticker that I'll just say would be a weekly trade. We have Sirius XM, which is a really cheap ticker. That might just be a day trade for tomorrow. On the daily, we have well, actually on the weekly as well, we have a setup here where Autostratic detected something, and it has some move that's looking at least to the upside for now. After it gets to 334, though, I'm not sure if it's going to just reject embarrassingly. You see that high of that candle to the left? Sometimes we can hit those candle, well, the one above that. Um, yeah. So I'm not sure if that's a short distance for how far it's going to be allowed to go. You know what I mean? So things just might get a little stupid.
Percolation.
Uh, yeah. A trade that looks kind of similar to what we saw on Take Two is Peloton. Peloton might make a comeback here. It's cheaper. Looks like they beat earnings, which is surprising because they don't do that.
I
If you
think they
see
had
their chart,
a deal with
oh, go ahead.
Google.
A deal with
Google, if I'm not mistaken. The
Google.
chat can
Interesting.
correct me if I'm wrong.
I haven't tracked. This is why it's important to track companies and what their news and what's going on. But yeah, I haven't looked at Peloton in a while. But what I do and why it's for good reason. If you see, they have missed earnings every single time since August of 2021. And so I'm assuming that this, because they beat earnings this time, that maybe something's being turned around,
Yeah.
right? And maybe it's what you just mentioned about whatever's going on with Google. So on the monthly, I mean, they have a outside candle, which is good. If they are to be bullish, then you just have to be careful of the gap below. You would hope that Peloton doesn't go for the gap below, or maybe you do if that means it's going to bounce off the gap below. But at the moment, it's what it seems is it went up super high to that $5, and then now it's just chilling. So maybe you just have to wait for it to reignite, I would say. Yes, King. We are recording, but we had, I guess, one stumble. Um, but for most of, especially the beginning, we were good. But we got a little, you know, whatever parts that weren't captured, we'll just either repeat or, give some um, heads up or sauce on. Uh, any tickers you wanted to highlight next, Molly Mall?
I had a whole thing, but I can't remember without the PowerPoint. Let me see. So we were talking about Apple. We talked about Nvidia, and those were the. Why isn't it? Oh, okay, it is there. I'm sorry. So we talked about that. And so those were just some highlights from the default. And then I'm not going to go heavy into this, but I want you all to take note of the sectors. The sectors where the money is flowing in and where the actionable signals are. And so if the sectors, just a tidbit is that the sectors act as a team. So you can look at each sector as an all-star team, and the stocks are the players on that all-star team. So you zero in on the sector that's performing, and then from the sector you find the MVP. So that, for example, we were talking about XLF, that's Team Financials, and then the MVP on Team Financials is Berkshire Hathaway and JP Morgan. So let's take a look at XLF, and then we'll take a look at Berkshire Hathaway and JP Morgan as well, because they have some really good price action. So first and foremost, let's take a look at XLF on the month. Who was that? Um, and so look at this candle here on the month. It's a three, uh, I guess you could call that hammerish candle on the month. So we're looking for this to do like the other one and go 3-2 continuation to the upside. And then I drew some fibs just to give me an idea of where this was going. So this triggered on the 3 weeks, and I posted this in my channel. It triggered on the 3 week with this fail to down, and then it triggered there, and I actually am in longer term XLF calls for October um at the money. So they're already in the money. They were $45 calls, and so XLF is already at 45.74. This is a really cheap play on the financials, XLF. You can still try to get in on this if this does go 3-2 continuation. And so, like I said, XLF is the team. So the team can only perform by the players putting up points. So if we look at um, Berkshire Hathaway, we can kind of see a similar setup here on the month where this has gone two up. It's not a three. It didn't break the low of the previous candle, but it still has that heavy motion of buyers coming in on the month. And then we also have interest rates that should be coming maybe this sometime this month. So that might affect this maybe to the up or to the downside, but they will definitely have their eyes on financials as well as other industries that are affected by the interest rates like solar energy, like the SoFis, like the firms, and as well as some other financials as well. So Berkshire Hathaway on the month looks crazy. You could have taken that also of a 3 week trigger. We look and see on the 3 week, it had that same fail to down action where it just triggered above that and just kept going. And then if we finally look at the other All-Star JPM, this one I believe did the same thing on the 3 week that fell to down and then just took off. And then on the month, we have a similar setup. What in the world? Um, this kind of looks very weird. It looks like it gapped up on the month. I don't think that's right. This is not what I remember the candle looking like when I was charting this. But we do have a significant running price on JP Morgan as well. Does anybody else's chart look like this? Or it's just a gap on the month? I've rarely seen that. Yeah, I don't understand what's going on there. Okay. This looks a little better. So we have that three up, potentially two up continuation from this three on JP Morgan. I like the financials as of right now. The chart is telling me that these are bullish for the time being. On the month, those buyers definitely coming in and driving these prices to highs. So I like those financials, XLF, JP Morgan, Berkshire Hathaway, and then we even have a cheaper play with Bank of America also having a setup. So be mindful again of the sectors. Scout out the team, find the MVP player, which teams are performing. Then you find the player that's helping that team outperform the market, and you can call that the MVP. Does that make sense? Okay. So again, we have just wanted to focus a little bit on the tech sector. So we did cover Apple and Nvidia already. We have a couple of underknown, little lesser known stocks with Cisco, cheaper play, as well as D-Dog and QCOM. Cisco may, I dropped some information on Cisco maybe a couple of days to a week ago. It might have been trying to consolidate a little bit, but I think it still has some gas left in the tank. You probably want to take a look at Cisco, as well as maybe even D-Dog with the cybersecurity. Definitely getting bought up, or at least have a firm interest in cybersecurity with the protection of data and all of this stuff going on with. I'm not sure which one had the fiasco news. Was it Cyber Strike or was it somebody else? Is it even called Cyber Strike? Crowd Strike. I said Cyber
Crowd.
Strike. What? I'm like, hold on, that's not right. Yeah, CrowdStrike had the dagger, and then I think Pan W came out and like outperformed as far as their earnings. So you just want to keep an eye on one of these, or at least one of those datas, because as you can see, I believe, well, it's not on here, but Bug also has a setup that I checked out on the monthly. I also like Cisco. Like I said, we could take a look at Bug and we could take a look at Cisco. Bug is basically the sector that all of those cyber securities are in. You can remember it because they protect you from bugs, i.e., hacks of viruses on your computer. So Bug has that infamous three, just like JPM has that infamous three already breaking out from the 3 week trigger. Hopefully that the buying continues into the next month on here on Bug. So I like this chart. It's just so nice. These threes to the upside. I just
Yes.
hope
Oh my
everything doesn't
goodness.
just come crashing down. But there's a lot of these. There's a lot of fail two downs and a lot of threes to the upside. So keep an eye
Those are our
on,
favorite.
yeah, keep an eye on Bug above 31.26. This is a cheap one that'll give you an all-star team of cybersecurity stocks. And what else did I say? I said Cisco. So Cisco had a nice run that nobody was watching, as you can see on the month. We got that same three hammer looking nice. And you just want this to do the same thing. So we had a downtrend break, So it broke a downtrend, a month long, couple of month long downtrend, breaking kind of something like this is very kind of breaking a little downtrend on the month. Um, with these consecutive last 3 months. And then we're just looking for this to go 3-2 on the month. That seems to be a common theme here is stuff going 3-2 on the month. With Cisco, again, you can get this really cheap at the money and with time because it's only a $50 stock. And as you can see, the buyers have been coming in on Cisco. This could be a nice slow burner where you can just put some money in and just watch it gradually go up for the next couple of months, hopefully.
Ray, are you still here in the audience? I don't know if Ray had a couple of tickers he might be watching, or
Yeah, I noticed. I think he was talking about JPM. I hopefully I covered it thoroughly, but is he still here?
KO and Spy. I dropped the chart for yo KO had a insane month, man. Why weren't we just? I felt like I saw it, but it some of the things it's like with certain setups, you just have to let the setup trigger and then just be confident and believe in it. Because there are times where the setup will trigger, and these things fly under people's radar because they're moving slow until by the time that they blow up, they're like, "Oh my god, I missed it." But it's sort of the way that at times you either capture it at the trigger and just wait for it to do something. Sometimes if some things don't do anything, we're like, this is not it. This is not my trade. I don't have the patience for this. But for some other things, it's like you're in it because you manage your position and you are letting the setup just play out, right? And because you are in it, every single once it does blow up, then everyone else is just chasing. Meanwhile, you were in there early, and then you just stuck to the plan, right? So, Cisco is interesting. Gaps. Not that gaps make me nervous now. It's not that they make me. What is this? This is the monthly. Oh, okay.
Yes.
It's
What the
not that
hell
they
is
make me
this? What is
nervous,
this? I was looking
but
at.
it's yeah. They beat earnings. Looks like,
Oh, okay.
and they had a pretty good revenue beat. Um, I mean, it looks significant enough that gap, such that especially that gap happened after they took a major low. So I don't. I probably have a lot of confidence it will not come back to fill the gap down. So that gives me a little bit of you know good measure. Oh yeah, I don't understand what was going on with your chart there. Uh, but yeah,
Jeez.
Cisco both on the weekly autostratic has a 100% score, which means that Cisco is for the sisters and brothers. So we yeah, once Cisco triggers the high of September, or excuse me, high of August, looks like that's just a free flowing move all the way to 52 and or 53.50. So I'll put the trade idea here in chat. So we have 51/52.
And again, Cisco
Wow,
is really cheap.
wow, Jasmine got in and didn't tell anybody. It's crazy. We're used to this though.
Yeah, I'm in those. I'm in the same thing Jasmine is
Oh,
in.
Jamal's in it and didn't tell nobody. Oh.
What? I put it in my channel.
But wow, 100 score on both the weekly and monthly on Cisco. That looks like a banger. Let's put that in the poster charge channel.
Yeah,
Um,
I got the 62 and a half for next year.
dang, y'all got 2025?
Yeah,
That
because
was last week.
it's cheap. I
Was
should have
that
got
was that
even
last week?
closer to the money. Huh?
Was that last week?
I got mine. I want to say maybe the beginning of last week. I can't remember.
Okay, word.
The 27th or the 28th. Yeah.
Alrighty. Well, it looks beautiful. So I'm
Yeah.
gonna just post it. I'm gonna put a battery next to it just to let you know it has a big old battery in its back. On the three, okay, on the quarter. So it just went outside quarter. And I think because of that earnings, it went outside quarter very quickly. Oh, we still have an outside 6 month. So this is highly guaranteed towards 52. So this is just going to get to 53, like guaranteed. I don't want to use that word, especially for the new people around here. But wow. And then it's going to form a 1-2-2 hammer. Man,
Yeah,
y'all
I'm
silly
starting to
billies.
dig stuff that's kind of cheaper and you can buy at the money and give some time to, like a Cisco, like a XLF. Like those are pretty nice.
As long as it doesn't gravitate back towards that gap below, this looks like it looks absolutely amazing, actually. Um,
Yes, we're talking about Cisco. I'm sorry.
yeah,
Somebody
CSCO.
the thong song. Just hoping this thing don't dump like a truck, truck.
It's all right. Yeah, I was just trying to outline everything. I went even all the way to the yearly chart, and it mites up 1-2-2 hammer. The yearly has a 105 score, bullish, right? Like this Autostratic is trying to say it's guaranteed. It did just hit its yearly open. That's the main risk. The main risk is the fact that it's sitting at the yearly open, and you have to see what it does after that. Um, but it's wow. So which position you said? You said 62.5.
52 and a half.
Oh, 52. Okay.
Yeah, I don't know why I said 60. I'm not sure if people are digging SoFi, but SoFi also had this infamous three hammer on the month, really cheap. Interest rates might cause this to bang bang. SoFi still needs to get a little bit above this downtrend, this invisible downtrend line that I'm tracing with the mouse.
What what is September going to be like? What is actually going to happen? Yo, throw that strat score on there for a second. Let everyone see.
On SoFi,
Yeah, throw, throw that stress. Yo, throw that. So, if for anyone who's unaware, this is the confidence score that we developed for how likely a trade idea is to work out, and um, for the stock to move 1% or to the next target. based on the setup that is determined by the ticker. And so that takes into account many variables and essentially uses AI to analyze the variables of the chart and then convert them to, a confidence meter for, yeah, to just give you to say what's a probable trade and what isn't. Um, and so here on SoFi, it's and for many of the tickers we've just charted, it's been highly just like wow, like the what is being presented here is feeling pretty insane. I don't want to get like ultra excited or overly excited for September, but it just looks like ballistic. Like what is going on? Like I see many like absolutely insane setups. Um, so every single thing that Jamal has been charting, I've been also sort of looking at too, and just setting my alerts, seeing okay, like what is going to be, what are the good things, what are the risks involved with the trades, Um, currently, I'd say on SoFi, there's a slight risk because essentially where it rejected, and I think people knew this because I had mentioned SoFi in the chat on Thursday, and I had let people know, hey, this is going to be a good trade today, because of Affirm's earnings. So Affirm had great earnings, and they were absolutely lovely. And I think Affirm has had more partnerships and stuff with like stuff like Amazon and TikTok, so on and so forth. So SoFi, which is a similar company in terms of being able to have loans and or receive loans or get financing, so on and so forth. So their platform is kind of increased. So there's one slight risk, and that is that they did hit a broadening formation, at least on the daily, and then that's why Friday was a red day. It had shot up all the way on Thursday. I didn't trade on Thursday, which is unfortunate because I really wanted to trade SoFi and Square, and both SoFi and Square went crazy. But even though it may have not done something there, we still have opportunity given it has a trade set up here on the daily chart with the 87 confidence score. So we'll see this week. This week is going to set the tone for many of these tickers. We're going to have new months, new weeks, all starting at the same time. So time frame continuity is going to be very interesting to watch this week. There's nothing that we have to force our hand and just rush into. I want to make sure that's clear as we are going into this week. Uh, if any of the sets we talked about today, if they trigger, feel free to hop in. Just make sure that you're buying a lot of time to let it play out. Maybe weeklies aren't going to be the most safe thing. I mean, they typically never are, right? But just to give the heads up that going into this week, things are going to trigger lots of things, right? And as what I'm saying, like I saw the score, I saw all this stuff, and it just for so many of the tickers that we're watching, and this just looks like unprecedented. Like, is September really going to be that bullish? Sometimes when things just look too good to be true, that's what makes me a bit at least on the side of safety, and just to make sure you're not watching this with rose tinted glasses and with tunnel vision. So you always have to make sure you understand the risks. So there was a slight risk here on SoFi. At least it did reject on Monday. But if it does trigger here um, above 830, crazy monthly trigger, I'm saying the alert, then I can see 8.5 calls, $9 calls for October going insane, or even September 20th. Jasmine just noted in the chat that it is in the gap. The good thing, so it did test that gap and I'm not sure if we're technically that's the first time we tested it. If the one that we did not test, the high from January, excuse me, from July 18th, that rejection, I don't know if this is the first time we're rejecting this gap and that we're gonna pull back first and then go up, right? If it's not, if we do make one more high and then start closing within that gap from March, then this can go all the way to 950, 970, and then gravitate towards the yearly open at the top. So this just looks absolutely insane. And what adds to the fact about why SoFi really might turn it up even further is Powell, the federal interest rate, right? So that this might go like um, this month. It just might be absolutely insane. It looks like I'm looking at Upstart very quickly. It looks like Upstart filled all the way its gap to the left, and that happened so quickly. Upstart just went insane. Um, yeah. Any other? Okay, so yo, what's going on, Ray? So Ray is here, Ma, and so a couple tickers our brother dropped. We have Bank of America. We had looked at JPM. Oh my goodness. That monthly chart on Bank of America is really crazy. And the broadening formation, it could get all the way to $50 or 52.
Yeah, Bank of America is a nice, cheap one that has that financial setup. What the hell was that?
Dog,
It's
what?
our,
That was my
it's our dog.
Huh,
dog.
I thought that was you.
Thought that was
Man,
me.
what?
Oh, first of all, if I
What's
bark,
up, Ray? I
that should
can't barely hear
hey,
you.
Yeah, you're real low, brother.
hold on. That should be better. There
Yep.
you go.
Yep, you're
Yeah, I was gonna say if I bark, it's gonna have some bass behind it, dog. My voice too deep to be barking like that. But
what's your
yeah,
yeah,
what
go ahead. What's your
I was just gonna
thoughts?
say, yeah, that monthly setup for um BAC, I like that because of the long wick, the hammer.
Oh
Well,
yeah,
I don't know if that's a technical hammer because how small the body is, but um, would that be like what a pin bar, something like that? You basically got like a shooter counter hammer, if that's
yeah,
how you say it. Was a hammer counter shooter? I forget the order, but because it wicked off of the 6 month 50% this past month, as well as the quarterly 50% line. And then as well as once it triggers that month, it actually has a trigger on the 5 week it could trigger. So it could trigger the 2 rev on the month and then trigger a 5 week 2 rev. So that's why I was looking at it. And then also, if I'm not mistaken, financials are like constantly, yeah. So financials all time highs right now, since it just hit 45, would be targeting the 50, since that's the next psychological price target number, based off of zeros and fives. So that's why I was looking at BAC. And then Uber had a nice setup, but that was another 5 weeks. The 5 week and a month are like similar to each other, depending on when it starts. So I looked at that first because I think the monthly chart has some setups like JPM. A lot of times that's been stronger than BAC. Um, and then it was like a couple like Apple. I don't really too much dabble with Apple, but the monthly had some setups, but then like the 5 week is kind of where like some hidden gems are at, and that's what I put in there. Like Uber Cat has a fire 5 week setup. The wick on it is similar to BAC, and then XLI, if I'm not mistaken, that's into the all time highs. Yeah, so
mm,
that's looking to go to 135 for a psychological target. So Cat looks good. And then you got the 5 week tutu rail for GM, which let me see if the monthly setup looks similar. Yeah, so monthly or 5 week, whichever one, right? You got GM. That looks like it could really go. I forget which one GM. I think that's XLY, which I think XLY looked good too. Yeah, so XLY got a tutu rail setup. And then as far as a weekly setup, Amazon and Microsoft. So that's really about it. Because I think Jamal, you were sharing the screen or whatnot. But yeah, that's what I have.
Okay, yeah, I definitely like that cat setup. That cat is looking nice.
Uh,
Meow.
that
Wow.
is funny. But yeah, and then cat would be one of the ones where you got to go like December for, because it might trigger bull crap around and all of a sudden it take off. So like December, what is it? December 20th would be the monthly contract. Yeah, December 20th probably for cat, because I wouldn't say November because that might be too short. Because you kind of gotta go a little ways out the money for cat because how volatile it could be. So you would
Yeah.
base that off of the monthly ATR. I would just like divide the monthly ATR by two for um just not to have too high of expectations. So like the monthly ATR is like 36.85, some weird number like that. So if you divide that by two, we take off the 8.5, that's gonna be like 18, right? So if we go like this month, because this month just started, so September, October, November, that's 3 months. So that would be, let's see, at 18 to 36, that's going to be about 54. So from where it's at right now, by December, cat could be at 400 if we doing math, ninja math. So yeah, that's what I got for cat because XLI is booming. If I didn't look at
Yeah.
that, yeah, XLI is booming. So some good setups, like you said, JPM Apple. Key had the TTWO or TTOW. I think it's TTWO. And then SoFi, Jasmine had a nice chart on that. And then Cisco. So some great setups. It's just whether or not September bull craps around and doesn't really give us those like trigger and go type setups. Because if I'm not mistaken, like ES been in a range. So we would have to be looking to get out of that range, which is like a broad information on the daily chart if you connect the threes to each other.
Yeah. ES and SPY, or let me look at SPY actually. And maybe it's more so ES. SPY is close to that all time high, but we did like a triple at one point, not triple, but we just formed many uh, outside candles and broadening formations. And yeah, we've just been hovering in this range between about 56, 5,600 and 5,500. You know, so it's is ES going to make a new all-time high, or are we going to stay in this range and we slightly miss the all-time high and then pull back? It's kind of what I've been thinking at least the past few weeks. Um, you know, with everything forming such crazy hammers on the month, it's so Joe Wavy said a lot of bullish setup, but I heard that September is extremely bearish month.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I heard that too. But these charts is, I don't know.
Wasn't there something earlier in the year that was supposed to be like a very bearish month, but it ended up not being one? Was it like
Yeah, I want
April
to
or
say.
something like that?
Yeah, I mean, people always saying stuff, but the charts will tell you different. But I don't know. I'm not going to get triggered by the fear. That's what they want you to do.
Okay, so it was March. Thanks, Dr. K.
We got version April.
Yeah, if SoFi starts closing outside of that broadening formation, then it's very gravy, and it's a beautiful setup. Just as well for the reason being it has cheap contracts. Um, Speaking of cheap contracts, Jasmine, your favorite, Ion Q might have something to say. The South got something to say here. Hold on. If if it gets time frame continuity, then we're gonna have an Ion Q. We're gonna end the summer off with some Ion Q. That's Indigo, Oscar, November, quarter, right? No, I don't even remember what Q is. But Ion Q, uh, Quebec. There you go. See, y'all not even Canadian, but here we go. It Ion Q. So typically, I would say this has a gravitational pull towards a monthly open, but we don't get that until tomorrow. But if it does simply trigger just right above uh, where it is, so if you pull up Ion Q on the daily,
Oh, I'm sorry, I was ignoring you.
well, damn.
I hate this stock.
I know, huh? But it's when it does run, it just can go absolutely crazy. The only unfortunate thing is the time frame continuity on this. Actually, never mind. It's actually green on the quarter now. One of my time frame continuity indicators isn't showing properly. But it's green on the quarter, so if it goes green next week on the month, then we are very gravy. You know, this it just goes up. And so then $8 calls for October. Um, excuse me, yeah, $8 calls for September 20th. Um, would go crazy if it triggers above, let's say 754. So we're just throwing that there on the grill. Someone's talking about drop shipping in our community again, and unfortunately, this will be their last day here in. Hey man, this is not teach dot dropped family. Oh, they on the timeout. Any other setups that people found or want us to check out?
Charles Schwab. Dell. Does Dell have a setup or is it just going? Dell is the real SMCI. I'm gonna say that over here.
What's the difference?
One of them doesn't cook their numbers, but
What you
Dell
mean?
has they have the bigger backbone to support like NVIDIA. SMCI
Oh,
is they 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 do so they both do networking, but Dell has been around for longer and they have the bigger infrastructure to scale to the needs of a NVIDIA or somebody who has a lot of AI data centers. If you Google NVIDIA and Dell, you'll see that the CEO talks about them all the time. Jensen, he's always talking about Dell. Even on the last earnings call, they talked about Dell, but they also did talk about super microcomputers, but they talked about Dell first. And super microcomputers has recently tanked because of that short due to them not filing some paperwork, and then they said the accounting was questionable, and so at one point in time they were $1,000 stock, and they have gradually come back down to reality. They were severely overvalued for what they do and how small they were. But I think they'll probably be coming back towards $300. Where Dell will probably go up from here. That's just me. Dell has that fail to down on the month looking so lovely. I would just watch this for that monthly trigger. 92 score right there.
Yeah, I was looking Dell up, and it's just like, yeah, I ain't had a Dell since like AOL.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hey, don't sleep. Well, you could probably sleep on their computers. Uh,
Yeah.
but I guess what they're doing with their servers is a whole that's getting their sauce back.
Yep.
What I can say is about with the um, with their laptops. Actually, my current laptop is actually um, a Dell XPS 13 Plus. It's the cleanest laptop I've ever seen.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to check them out because last time I had a Dell, it had that going to sleep sound, that doom doom doom. You know what I'm saying? That Windows XL XP, was that like 2006, 2008, something like that?
I remember when Dell was the computer to get. They had a commercial. It was like, dude, you're getting a Dell. And now they're good for networking. But I'm not saying, jump out and buy it. I'm just saying keep an eye on it. It has a lovely setup on the month. And
Yeah,
I keep missing it.
gotta set them alerts.
Oh wow, they got clapped.
Who?
Dell.
Yeah.
I only say that because I remember when they spiked up extremely crazy back in May.
Yeah.
Um, but they had a serious pullback. But after that serious pullback is going to create an opportunity for the next thing.
Um, so what else we got? I'll get in Dell when Steph gets in Dell. Y'all teammates?
So there's a 322 expansion there on the daily. There's a possible 3-2 week, and then of course we saw the monthly. So it has all of the features. I think it took a low and bounced. Yep, because it came down to fill that gap, took that low and bounced from the fair value gap up there back towards the upside. I'm not sure if it's in an uptrend now, confirmed. I don't know what time frame, but based on if it does trigger, it gets all the way to all those previous highs. I mean, that's a pivot machine gun. You know, so it's
We didn't mention too
great.
much about Coca-Cola besides the fact that it was just running this month. I don't think it has an
I
actual
know.
setup on the month. We just missed the move last month.
I looked at NVAX for Tip Boo there in chat. Um, Abercrombie and Fitch. All right, the best stock of the year. I forgot. Sorry. Let me not
Yeah, it
disrespect.
had this hell of a run, and then it got clapped like shit. Like it was going, it went
Oh,
to almost 200, and then it fell all the way back down 120. They took the
well.
juice away from this thing, but it was going. I'm not sure if it's still beating out Nvidia, but I'm not really looking at this. Maybe on a daily type of spectrum, see if it can fill that gap. But it's other stuff that looks has a better setup that's more obvious.
So NVAX looks very interesting. I just don't like how NVAX on the quarter to the year is inside. Well, quarter to the 6 month is inside. But it looks like it may be back above the high of the previous year. No, no, it's not. Um, it's still below it. It just recently hit the high of the previous year and then rejected it. That was at 1370. But on the monthly, or excuse me, on the weekly, we have 92 score there on uh, yep, 92 score to the upside. If it triggers, it can get to $14 easy. Um, yeah, that's the potential, I'd say, form of broad information again off of that weekly. And because we did a 3-2 up on the day, yeah. So right now, Novavax has the potential all the way to 14, all the way to 15. That looks excellent, Tip Boo. We'll see. Everything we're charting, I'm scared because we haven't seen any put set up yet.
Yeah, that's
Does anyone?
discouraging. I see a bunch of
Yeah.
bullish stuff.
Does anyone have a put set up? Um, yo, what's
You
going
know,
on,
some
Victoria?
probably putting.
But we just need like one put set up to balance things out if you got one, just so that you know, because there's gotta be. There's no way every sector is gonna be
Right.
popping.
Even China.
All right, so China, yeah. So that's what, yeah. China. I'm trying to look at some of the other charts y'all are sending as well. But it's all about China. Okay.
China still is bullish. It's-
Yes. And so the trade that, if you already know, if I posted it last week, chat can let me know what's the thing. Okay, so you're saying the things that have bearish things are okay. So a couple of y'all put some stuff. So after China, we'll go through some of the puts, and then we'll see if we can tap into some of the other tickers y'all said. Um, but so first of all, okay, that's the monthly. So yeah, so China can do 2 down, 2 up on the month. What's this? What's the quarter look like? Did you just hit the quarter? Okay, inside. That's not amazing, but it's whatever. All right, so shift that over to the Futu.
Futu.
That Futu. That Futu. So on Futu, we have a possible, as you see, well, that's the month. Oh no, that's a quarter. So yeah, we were approaching the outside, a possible outside quarter if it has a crazy September, um, which could put it all the way up at 90. It looks like either 80 or 90, which, quite frankly, is oops, I didn't mean to do that. Um, that would be a 14% move to the upside, which would be beautiful. It did just recently beat earnings about a week ago or 2 weeks ago. By a lot. They beat earnings by a lot. Even if it doesn't have an outside quarter, we have the craziest hammer in the month. Scroll over to the right, Mall, and show that score that is currently on it. It's it's breaking the scale, just like quite a few things we've seen. Because it did snag that previous low and then whipped this hammer just like that, we have a potential all the way up to $80 up there, man. I'll also drop my chart um, where I have the most perfect uh, upwards channel that it's been trading in for several months since 2022. Actually, I'm gonna drop this chart. Upwards channel. So there's the weekly chart I just dropped there in the chat. And then I'm going to drop the monthly. So if you see these images or see this, what do you expect to happen next? Most likely. It all depends on the trigger still, if China wants to be nice. The weekly has a setup. The monthly has a setup. We entered on Friday, and we're just praying that this doesn't do any funny business to at least break back above, maybe 64 and whatnot. If we are able to get a bullish China day, I do believe this can pop out all the way to 67 at least this week. But you probably want to just give a lot of time to consider on it. So, but yeah, at the moment, I would probably expect the first it would get to just 64. But this has the potential for 2025 potential. It's just, the unfortunate thing is just like China, their markets, they're not as clear to us just because we don't always know what's going on over there. Um, but essentially, the setups and the charts on China have dictated some moves back to the upside. Plus, Chinese tickers or companies are getting funding from the government. Um, uh, yeah, and so getting that stimulus is pretty good. Um, and it's gonna positively affect these Chinese tickers and whatnot. So I just say be on the lookout for tickers like Baba, FXI, Futu, and so those I believe are some high quality tickers. But we found so many tickers here as well. So Molly Ma, if you want to read through chat and just let's get through some of these put setups and look at some of these tickers people dropped.
Okay.
And so we have Zoom, Starbucks, possibly Roblox. Let's start with Zoom, ZM. See if what's going on there.
Okay. So Zoom on the week. Excuse me. God, I guess the shooter. I haven't played this ever. Um, Excuse me. Bill, in a week we have a nice shooter rejecting from the open of the 6 month. Around the open of the 6 month, couldn't hold above that. Going back towards the previous year open on the weekly entry right there on that shooter. And then we can see that shooter broken down on the day. We can see 3 consecutive days of downtrend. Um, Looking for this two continue. This would be a two down continuation. Can't necessarily play that on the day, but maybe on the 4 hour there might be. I thought it would be an inside candle, but nope. So this could be a two up, two down on the 4 hour that you could potentially play for that continuation to the downside. Um, Most likely the same entry as the day. So this most likely will trigger the week as well as the day to the downside. Damn it. So that's the week trigger, I believe, as well as the day trigger, about the 4 hour trigger. Um, excuse me. Um, if we're looking at the week, I'm not changing the correct indicator. They all look alike. Something like that. Could play it to 67 on the week. Yeah, I don't particularly play zone, but it definitely has that clear shooter upper price rejection on the week. Starbucks. I thought Starbucks was running because they stole the chip. Oh God, they stole the Chipotle. They stole the chip from the Chipotle. Shooter on the week on Starbazy. What is going on? It's as simple as a break to the downside. Looking for it to go underneath that open and trigger strongly below 94 even on the week for the weekly trigger. Can target maybe 90. Let's look at the day. Day has a shooter on it as well. Trigger below the opening for the previous week, 94.30. On Star BZ, it could target this area right here, which could be a order block. I'm mistaken, that might be an order block. Let's see if the indicator says it. Yeah, so yeah, there's an order block right there that it could target. On Starbezi below 94 looks juicy to the downside. Could take it to 91, 92, 91ish. I would say 92 to be safe. MDB is super expensive. The order block is right here. So this is like the last down counter before extreme displacement and price to the upside. And then it also creates a fair value gap. So it's definitely a strong order block. So price moved away from this area really fast. So this could potentially act as support because it's potentially a block of orders right here that didn't get filled. And then you have the fair value gap creation right there. I like to move it, move it. What else y'all got? Which month has a shooter on it? Starbucks. Okay, yeah. So Starbucks. Let's just go to the month. Nah, that's not a shooter on the month. That's unless my chart is acting stupid, but I wouldn't call that a shooter. So a shooter would be more like a upside down hammer. So you want the majority of the candle to be like a wick, upside wick, like this candle right here. This is you can call this a shooter. You can call this a shooter, but they're more like a gravestone doji. But it's a shooter, gravestone doji. But you want to see that upper price rejection forming that wick on the upper side. Yeah, let's see something. I don't know. I don't know why it looks like that. That's weird. What else we got that's bullish? You said it's Walmart? Berkshire Hathaway is definitely not bullish. AXP? That's a financial saying that's bullish. I mean bearish. On the month, AXP has that similar setup. Look at this score. Oh my goodness, man. These financials hopefully will keep going off. So on the day we had a red day, but these are trading to the top. Look at this move right here. Yes, we went over most of the financials. XLF leading the way. That's team finance. XLF looks great on the month to the upside, but we're looking for bearish stuff just in case the market wants to take a turn to the downside. You got to find something that's, has a bearish. So we found Starbucks. Starbucks looks good. Walmart, I know is not bearish. Look at this goddamn on stock. Oh my goodness. Yeah, it's a lot of stuff that's just overwhelmingly bearish. It's scary. What is CEG? Constellation on the month. Fell two down. Jeez. Yeah. Nice sideways movement right here. Verizon, I think Verizon is also bullish. XLC looked extremely bullish, I believe. It had a trigger on it, actionable signal. So this is a inside candle, it looks like on the month, bullish. Yeah. I don't see too many bearish things, which is scary, like I said. Um, this AI bearish, so cool. Ah, okay. AI on the month has been failing. Two down continuation. Been failing for the past 3 months to the downside. Interestorante. Two down continuation to the downside on the week. Okay. And then what we got on the day. So it's a red red candle on the day, but the buyers did kind of step in and drive price back up. If we are bearish on this, maybe look to the four, but we have that inside candle. Inside candle in the 4 hour on AI will tell us where this potentially wants to go. So eyes on the 4 hour for AI could try to do a little bit of H downtown, H down. Ugh. Crypto, jeez, jeez. Uh, so this just goes to show you, just because a candle is green doesn't necessarily mean that always bullish. Because what the candle is actually showing you is that the seller stepped in and drove price all the way down, even though it still finished green. The sellers stepped in, drove price down on the month, and then the next month continued that selling pressure to the downside. So it looks like it's breaking through the support that I had drawn out here, disrespecting it completely. This month will most likely open up here and potentially keep going down, and then it'll create a fair value gap displacement that's also um, breaking this swing low right here, which is not good. I'm specifically looking for, some sort of strat entry, and I don't think we're going to have one because this is such like a strong, I guess, Maribozo candle. You're not going to have any pullbacks that you could get in on. Oh my goodness, so cold. All right. But crypto, I guess you want to keep an eye on that for that to continue to dumpage. Ride is a cheap one. Clean Spark is also a cheap one. I remember they used to be like $20. Now they're like 11. But that's pretty much all that I have. Um, Not sure if the chat had anything else that they were looking at. 2 week. Aisha, she was a girl that I never had. What
How's everyone feeling
what is it?
so far? I mean, we're 2 hours here into our new month session. Do we feel a bit more prepared for September? Let me know here in the chat. Yeah, what's going on, Luis? We got a lot of great opportunities. Right now, that's pretty interesting. Crypto's in an interesting spot, certainly. I actually don't know what I would say about Riot inference. We might actually get a gap up on Riot because Bitcoin flipped, and it seems like Riot took out that previous low on the daily. Well, actually, on the 2 week, that's pretty interesting as well. So if it does open green because of Bitcoin, um, that would be an interesting kicking bull, maybe back to $8 higher, so on and so forth. But it's hard to say. It does look very bearish. It looks like it has certainly potential to fall further, but it's just Bitcoin is and crypto in general has kind of been left and right.
Can we just mention any major news? Um, well, like economic news. Oops. Um, somebody speaks this week. Does that calendar thing work? Let me see. What's the name of that indicator?
Which one?
The this one? Is this what it is? No.
No, live, yeah, by 2 degrees. Ray, it was probably you I was speaking with about
So
Trading View and
they don't have the most up to date
so you have to go to futures because data updates according to the most recent current day that's like open or that closed. So see, now this is the entire week. So if you don't have this indicator, definitely, this is one of my favorite indicators, and we actually covered it in our YouTube video on the best indicators. And so it literally gives the rundown as well as the impact level of all of the economic events in the next week. So yellow is like light impact, orange is medium, and red is high impact. And so some of these data points, like non-farm employment and unemployment claims, jolts to job openings, those are significant. So you're definitely going to see a reaction in the market. Monk, you tried out the homework and quiz in the Advanced Academy? If there was anyone else who still wanted to join the Advanced Academy, we had 4 waitlist spots open up today just because some people weren't available to be able to, go the full weeks. So I have a few slots open, just in case anyone was still interested. But I hope for those who are in the current cohort or previous cohorts that you enjoyed those quizzes and homework, and that it tests your knowledge. And kind of makes it a bit challenging. Hey, peace out, Ray. To
Yes, sir.
everyone,
Thank you for your
give a big
contributions.
thank you and shout out to Ray for joining us tonight. So, you want to? So yeah, and Steph just dropped the video for the best indicators video. So if you want to watch that, I just reposted it one more time. Thank you, Steph. Did we look at Meta? Maybe after Meta, we'll close out since as we hit our 2 hour mark now. And then we'll get the recording of this up as soon as we can. And then we'll also create a list of the tickers we covered and the setups and possible trade IDs.
Okay. Meta is the last one for tonight. So Meta, I think, was part of the tech, if I'm not mistaken. So here on the month, we do have the buyers stepping in. Have this bullish, I guess you could maybe call that a dragonfly doji or hammer type candle. So this is a failed to up though, because it failed to stay above the high of the previous month. But we do have the buyers stepping in on this month, driving the price all the way back towards the higher range of the candle. 5 month looks good. The weekly on Meta is a two down. It broke the low of the previous candle, previous week, and it also closed below the low of the previous week. Even though we do have some buying coming in on this candle, we still want to note that it is bearish with some bulls coming in and stepping in. Now here we have a fail to down where the bulls you can see did come in on last Friday. So we want to see a continuation to the upside on that if possible. It's not the strongest play that I would take, but it is definitely worth watching and see if it can break and hold above that 523.54. This is a slightly more expensive stop. And then we're looking for this to break down below the 50% retracement if it wants to Turn bearish. But 50% retracement on the day. So below 519.35, that could potentially be a sign for the bears on Meta. You have to go to a stock that's live or a ticker that's live. So if you go to the futures ES, it'll show you this week. But
Uh,
that's pretty much everything that I have.
yes, sir. Uh, if we find anything else, we'll definitely let y'all know tomorrow. And if y'all find anything else, let us know and post in the Post Your Charts channel, so that we could just have a huge collaboration. Like this September, looking like a wild month already, and we will see, you know. But I'm really excited, um, and I'll be live tomorrow for sure this time, and you can follow along as we sort of just walk through these setups and charts, see what's going on, see what works out, and we'll find a banger or two within all of this. You know, I think we found many high probability setups today, and that's awesome. You know, uh, but we'll see what the market gives us, and we'll act accordingly. But with today, we planned and we prepared, and being prepared is the best thing because when we just let the opportunities come to us, as long as we are prepared, we can act. We're not just automatically reacting to every single thing that's happening. You know, we have a framework for what we can at least pre-anticipate, and then we think of this as a if this happens, then we do that, and that can just make trading so simple. You know, trading is very complicated. We know this is complex. There's many moving parts, but we can treat it as simple in terms of our decision making if we just stick to in alignment with just sticking to the script. All right, family. So hopefully those words resonate with you. Um, I hope you all had a blessed Labor Day. We had people rank what their Labor Day was earlier today, and so I hope if it was low, we increased it just a bit and just gave some community, gave some presence, and that it's always a privilege to have your presence and participation in these sessions. So thank you for attending, and we appreciate just being able to share this information.
Word to your mother. Peace out, everybody. Have a nice rest of your evening.